everyone agree?
So sorry, I'm gonna record it now. So you're gonna need to consent to an electronic background. So I think everyone on here has had a background through USA Softball before, so just want to make sure that no one creates a new account. You should be using the same account that was for spring. If you didn't have one for spring, you're gonna have the same one that you've registered before. So do not register unless you've never had a background check before through Diamond Bar Girls Softball or any other league that uses USA. Once I get notified that everything was good and that you guys sent an email, I'm gonna also send out an email to let you guys know. Hey, look at in your emails for this thing. It's not gonna come from Diamond Bar Girls Softball. It's gonna come from USA Girls Softball. And I'm hoping that we'll have it by Wednesday. Okay, so this is just a sample of that's the email that it's going to be. So it's no reply to at registerusasoftball.com. So if it's any other email, it's not from USA Softball. So make sure that you're looking for that email. And that's a sample of what the email says. Once you click on it, it's going to ask you to go to your USA Softball to verify or create your profile. If you already have a profile, you're just going to log into your regular USA Softball thing. If you don't have one, you're going to create they're going to give you a username and a password so that you guys can create it. So this is only if you need to create a new profile, this is what you do. If you already have a profile, just log in. So the next step is to update your information. So I have all the information updated. I think the only person that I need to see is Ashley because I need your address. But everyone else, I should have, I use the address that's on file for your girls. So if something's incorrect, please make sure that you change it right away before you do the background check. So if anything's wrong, it should be your full legal name and your correct address. Because if anything needs to be sent to you, that's the address that they're going to use. So just make sure everything's correct before you can verify your information. If there's something incorrect, sorry, go back one more. Make sure you click on that little red button and then submit whatever needs to be corrected, and then it'll automatically get corrected. Okay, so once everything is good in the system, you're gonna see something on this background check status that says that your background check is pending or that it's been approved, or it's gonna tell you please consent to this one. So if you haven't consented already, you're gonna click on that blue consent form and start your background check. So it is gonna send you, you're gonna click on that to check your background. So once you click on it, you're gonna see the next okay. And this is just verifying your information. The biggest change is that they are no longer, everyone needs to enter their social security information. So because of everything going electronically, everyone needs to put in their social security number. You guys are not sending that information to me. You're not sending it to your coach. You're not sending it to Diamond Bar. This is just to verify that you are the person that you say you are and that the background check gets cleared. So this is just something that goes just straight to USA Softball. If you do not have a social security number, please talk to me and we have to figure something out for you guys. But again, once you verify all the information is correct, your social security number is just kind of like a password to make sure that it's you. And then you're going to hit the I agree. After you read everything, of course, you're going to hit I agree. And once everything's good, you can go back to your USA Softball and you'll see a green check, green cleared on the bottom. If it's still pending, it'll say pending. It usually takes like 12 to 24 hours for your background check to go through. And then that just tells me that you've gotten cleared and that we're good to go. If you have a pending, that means that they just haven't updated it yet. And if you have something that says something other than this, then please talk to me and I'm gonna have to talk to Nicole. We're gonna have to work something out between those that don't get a cleared status. And that's pretty much it. Any questions on that? So the biggest thing is that we're not doing paper anymore and you have to put your social security number in. That's the biggest change from last year.
So this for 2021 or 2022?
So this is gonna be for 2021, all the way through spring. So you're not gonna have to do this again for spring. So the new thing is from fall to spring. So if you did this in spring, we have to start over again because we're not doing fall through spring for USA softball.
It's not a calendar year.
Yeah, we're not doing calendar year anymore. We are doing season, we'll say fall, September, all the way up until August. So this is good for all-stars next year and everything else. Okay. So one other thing that I wanted to go over is that, so this is for everyone that's gonna be playing with the girls. So anyone that is gonna be on the field with the girls, practice, you name it, they have to be clear. And I'm gonna talk to the managers later on today to tell you who I have on your list of who we're gonna clear. If someone's not on there, you wanna make sure that you get them cleared prior to end of the week. So
What about another older player that wants to hop on?
and if there's another player, so there's junior coaches that we have. So anyone that's over the age of 18 needs to have a background check. Anyone under the age of 18, if they're already playing for Diamond Bar Girls softball, they don't need to get approved again. But if they're not playing for Diamond Bar Girls softball, we will have to get them set up as junior coaches. They don't need to consent anything, social security or anything like that. We just need to register them so they can get on our certificate in case something should happen to them. So we do allow junior coaches. So under 18, we can get them signed up as junior coaches.
Quick question, Christine. I know in years past, there was times where they were saying that anybody even like helping with the fields and stuff needed to be background checked too. Has that changed or is
So
that
anyone
still?
working with the girls.
So if they're just working on the field and no contact with the girls, they don't need it then?
So no, but we have some board members that are not, like, if they're gonna come out and interact with our girls, we need to have them.
Background check.
So that's, if you feel like they need to, then they should be getting a background.
Yeah, everybody background check. It's
Yeah.
voluntary week.
Yep.
Yep.
Is there a limit on the number that we can get done?
That's gonna be up to the league. I think we're trying to do 3. I don't know if we want to do more than 3. I think if they're on the board,
We have 4.
if they're on the board, I think we're not gonna count them. But if they're coaches that are not on the board, then you
Okay.
want to do 3?
I think the older divisions probably won't need as many. I think the younger divisions definitely need more. If we have 4, I know 6 is gonna need a ton. There's a ton of, once I stepped up into W manager, a ton of parents came out and said they'll do it. But we do have a lead, someone responded to the Diamond Bar Buzz post. They said his daughter played for 4 years and he's willing to come out and manage. So I'm gonna call him today. Yes.
So we'll, I think we'll say 4, and then if you need
I'm
more.
gonna average it out to 4.
Yeah.
So if we have 10 teams, and we average it out to 4, that's 40. Because like 12U is not gonna, 14U probably will not have 4 coaches, whereas 6U will probably have 5. Yeah, because you have people in the field, you've got people closing the base, it's a lot for 6U. Okay.
So just let us know and just we'll get them on set. Yeah, we're
Okay.
not too concerned about the number.
Now there's a lot
I
of
think.
doubling up. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions from those on the call?
No, I think the one question, I don't know if you answered that because it was breaking up a little bit, so I may have missed it, so I apologize if it's a duplicate question, but is there a limit as to how many background checks you get for the team?
4 per team, Adrian.
Okay, thank you.
If you need more, we can discuss it, but right now.
Got it. No, thank you.
You're plus a team parent.
Yeah.
So, that in mind too, right?
No one
No
stepped up?
team parent? Your wife didn't step up?
We got Ethan.
Oh, that's right, that's too much.
Gotta do that.
Yeah.
So now the next thing is that everyone has to do the safe sport
Again?
clearance. We have to start over new, so it's gonna be every year. This is everyone's favorite, I know. But if you guys have already done it before, it's not gonna be as long. So it should only be 30 minutes versus the hour if you guys had it the first time for an hour. And every year it's just 30 minutes. The first one is the longest one. So this is a little bit new because this is something that we've not done before. For those of you who had safe sport before, it's super easy. Now it's a little bit more complicated, unfortunately. I'm gonna go through it really quickly. Here, when you log onto your safe USA softball, there's gonna be a little tab that says safe sport on here. You want to make sure that you're going here and you click here to start a new, to start or create a first-time user account, or click here for returning users. I believe everyone has to start with the create a first-time user account, because you could try here for returning users, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's not working and that there's a lot of glitches because of things that are happening with Safe Sport. So if this link doesn't work, for those of you that are returning, just click to create a first-time profile. This is what it's going to look like if you have to create your new sign up. And again, you're going to get a copy of this. The biggest thing that you have to do is you want to make sure that the name of the sport organization is USA Softball. If you're doing this for another league like AYSO, something like that, we're going to have to figure out how we can get your Safe Sport here, but you just want to click USA Softball. If you have a different one that you're using, then we can talk about that at another time. You want to make sure that you read all the terms and conditions, hit I agree if you're creating a new profile, and then you should begin your new training. You're going to click where it says login and then log in, what the login looks like. And then you're going to go to your catalog. And then if you've already finished if you never coached before, then you're a person here that has coached more than 5 years, you're going to have to go back to the first season. After that, you can go and just take the refresher courses, and the refresher courses are only 30 minutes. So it'll tell you if you completed it or if you need to enroll. So if it says start, that's where you need to start. If you see enroll, that means that you're probably going to take it the next time. So many of you guys are probably on your second season this year. But if you're probably like Tim, maybe you're on the 5th year. Once you're logging in and you've registered for the correct course, you're going to click twice to start the program, and then go ahead and watch the participate in the course. And then you have to download your certificate. So at the end of the training, there's going to be a little prompt. Sorry, I think I skipped that, where it says print your certificate. On the next one. If you guys need help printing out your certificate, let me know. They didn't include it on this slide. But once you get your certificate, you have to download it and you have to send it to safesport1@usasoftball.com. So that's the biggest change for this year, that you actually have to send your certificate so that I can get linked to the USA Softball account. Once we have background checks, so I'm hoping that happens by Wednesday. I would like all the coaches to have it within 1 week, because that's when the registration lady kind of makes everything kind of smooth and easy for us. Anyone that's longer than a week, we can still work on it. However, it just gets really complicated after that. And then this too is if you're interested in being selected as a coach for All Stars, this is going to be one of the key things that we ask for Safe Sports. So we are asking that everyone get Safe Sports certified. The USA Softball is really saying that every coach needs to have this. And then there's even more things for All Stars after this. So you want to make sure that you send that. If you guys have any questions, you guys are having trouble, I'm at the park Wednesdays and I'm not at the park, but I can make myself available at the park on Wednesdays and Fridays. Fridays are better than Wednesdays, and I can help you guys out with this process. But hopefully everything is up and running by Wednesday. Everyone can take their background consent, and then over the weekend, you guys can take your Safe Sport. I'm going to give you guys 1 week, and then I'm going to be bugging for that week. And then anyone after that, I'm not going to bug as much. But just keep in mind that if you're interested in being a softball coach for All Stars in the spring, that this is definitely going to be one of the requirements. And then if you have any questions about the Safe Sport website, like I said, there's a lot of glitches that are happening because they changed a lot of things. This is where you can go to contact them, and I can help you too. A lot of I had a coach. One of the reasons we're asking that you guys don't create a new account, because I had a coach that created 2 profiles with USA Softball, and it made it really hard to get the background checks on the Safe Sport all aligned. So if you've already coached before, make sure that you do not register as a new person on the USA Softball. So any questions on this? So Safe Sport is a requirement. I'm not gonna bug anyone after the week if they haven't done it, but it is a requirement, and this is gonna be, I'm gonna ask Nicole if we can count this, if they haven't done their state sport, that they may not be considered for All-Stars, coaching, in the spring. So it doesn't matter if you're a manager or your assistant, needs to be taken. Questions on this?
Team parents have taken.
Team parents should be taking it as well, so. I would say should, because they're not on the field, but anyone that is on the field needs to take it. They should, but team
It's not
parents,
required by USA softball if they take.
but it's best because a lot of the things that we have is just aligning with whatever the coach is.
Right.
But anyone on the field absolutely needs to take it. Any question? That's mine. And then, oh, I also have, all of these player registrations information, so I'm
Okay.
gonna be giving them out to those that are here today. And if you guys need them, let me know, I can meet you at the park, we're not too far from the park. If not, I can send them, on Wednesdays and Fridays, but I have all the registration paperwork for the players.
There was a coach's guide up. I saw that. What was that? 2022 coaches guide.
Oh, that was the first one we went over.
Okay.
I'm gonna send both of these as well as the, as well as today's, recording
Okay.
and, to you, to everyone's email that's registered, to the coach or assistant.
So there'll be a lot of 6 shoes we'll have to go over, because that's still not solidified yet. Who's gonna coach, who's not, how many
Yeah.
of those are actually gonna be in
So-
6 shoes? I mean,
So if we get them by like next week, then we'll give them another.
Yeah. it's a lot, 6 shoes. There's not enough girls to make 2 teams, too many girls for one. It's kinda crazy, so. let's figure that out. Does everyone know that opening day is 18th? If you don't, you do now.
Yes.
An email will go out also, but just so everyone knows and make your teams aware, opening day is the 18th. And AYSO has given us some extra field time, so all teams will be able to play on the 18th. Initially, we're gonna have to do some games Friday night and some games Saturday, but they've given us some field time, so we should be able to get everybody in playing on the 18th.
No uniforms, right?
No uniforms, not yet. So I think as coaches, we need to probably, each team should probably just come up with something that they want to do for that day. We should probably be able to get pants by that day, because the pants won't take long. We're ordering those from Epic. But we won't have jerseys yet because we need to solidify teams first. So hopefully that'll be done by Monday or Tuesday, and then we can get jerseys ordered. But we should be able to get pants ordered for sure. And then I think each team can just figure out something fun to do for opening day. You know, I don't know, maybe it's 6 shoes, we can get unicorn shirts, all the parents, will- yeah, something like that. I'm sure everybody can find a little cute shirt off Amazon or something that's inexpensive that, just to make it fun for opening day. But just an email will go out. Also, an email went out this morning about select tryouts. They are next Sunday. So the times went out. I think 8U is from 9 to 10. And then I did a 15-minute buffer. So the next group will start 15 minutes after that. Enrique, your email's not on there. That's why you're not getting them. It's
Might be
only,
under
it's only
Diana.
Deanna's.
Yeah.
It's only Diana's email. So she's the only one on there. So your email is not there, but I can forward you the email or
Okay.
just give me your email. But I looked on the list this morning.
Okay.
I was like, why is he not getting emails? It's because your
I
email,
used to get them though.
you
I was
did?
getting them, yeah.
Hmm.
It's under her name, but it's my actual
You-
email.
Huh. Okay, well,
It is.
so, yeah, so select next week. We'll figure out coaching. Tim and I will talk about coaching and then we'll kind of go from there. All right. And then I know Tim's gonna share some practice schedules. I think the biggest thing we want to just talk about is just as a league, becoming more competitive. I think in the past, not that we haven't been competitive, I just think that we can become a more competitive league. And we want to kind of talk about as a league streamlining things so that we're all kind of, it's more of, it's less of individual teams and more of a program that we become, we kind of all come together. One big thing is just staying positive with the girls. We don't want a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming at the girls. try to coach through uplifting them and positivity versus kind of what we see from other leagues where they're getting down on the girls. Not saying you're not gonna be tough on them and not have high expectations, but we definitely don't want to see degrading, that kind of thing. But like I said, I think the biggest thing is just coming together and trying to become a program versus every coach doing everything that they want to do individually. I think we need to streamline our warm-up so that every team is doing something similar, so that when 6U goes to 8U and 8U goes to 10U, they all kind of know and have an expectation of what's going on. I mean, I know as coaches, we all have our own style and our own drills we like to do and that kind of thing. But I think we need to, on some level, streamline things a little bit. So, good to you, Tim.
All right. So for me, I started coaching here in Diamond Bar in 2015, and I coached after playing baseball for years and years, and I still played in men's leagues on the weekends and things like that. And the difference between my coaching the first season and the way that I coach now is changing the way that I'm looking at everything that I'm doing. You know, when you play and you play for years, you just react and it's second nature. And you do things without being conscious of what you're doing because it's ingrained in you so many times. So coaching these young players who haven't played for, you know, hundreds of innings and thousands of innings over all these years, the most important thing for me is having them stay conscious of all the movements as they're doing it so they know what they're doing. And then at some point, it's just going to become second nature. So when I started coaching in 2015, I was focused on, hey, let's just do it this way. And I was more of a player than a coach. And there's a big difference, right? They're kind of one and the same, but there's a big difference as to how you get people to learn and buy in and follow things. So what I started doing was creating practice plans. And the practice plan, you know, everybody's going to have a different one. Some people have different styles. I know Nicole uses pictures on hers. One of the coaches that I coached with used to use a picture and he'd break it down and have a lot of colors and all this stuff. And he would actually put them on his team's little page would create somewhere and allow the parents to go back and get them. I used to send them out once in a while like that, but what I learned is, you know, practice, things change a lot, right? You might have 8 plans and get to 3, 4 of them, and then you have to cut stuff out. So starting with a practice plan, it's got to be a curriculum, just like school. You know, you start kindergarten and then you get to 6th grade. You're not doing everything you're doing in 6th grade on day 1. So, you know, you got to learn the basics. How do you start to read? You got to learn how the letter sounds are and get to bigger words, all that stuff. That's just like coaching softball. So I break it down at the beginning of the season. What are all the important things that they need to learn, right? Just globally, they need to run, they need to throw, they need to hit, they need to understand the concepts and rules of the game. We got it all there.
That's our coaching.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, and you guys are all
Videos to the kids so they can look at it.
little YouTube videos.
Yep.
That's great. So Coach Bernardo was saying that he has little links for YouTube videos, and that's great. We're all gonna do it our own way. And most of us at the end of the day, it's gonna kind of fall back to basically the same stuff. But getting back to what I was saying about a curriculum, you know, they need to run, they need to throw, they need to hit, they need to field, infield, outfield. And so if you just look at those big parts of the game, then within every single one of those, there's little details and things that they need to break down each one. And so as you go from hitting, fielding, running, throwing, each one gets broken down into 5, 10 more components, right? And then those components, like if you're just talking about infielding, positioning, creeping on the ball, you know, staying low, playing through the ball, there's 4 or 5 things just right there. In every single one of those, there's drills for it. And then you can break those drills down into actually adding speed to it too, right? Because there's little speed and agility drills that can translate to all these different things. So I always encourage people, you know, your practice plan at the beginning of the season, sit down and write out those big parts that you need to hit. And Nicole and I put together an email a couple of weeks ago that we'll share. And I mean, I think we wrote it pretty quick and there's a whole lot there. And then as I looked at it later, I'm like, I didn't add rundowns and certain things like that. So we though, as a,
really quick.
Okay.
Just really quick, we are gonna do too, we'll come up with a expectation what the girls should learn, the skills they need to know when they leave a certain division. So if you're coaching 8U, these are the skills the girls need to know before they go to 10U. And if you're coaching 10U, these are the skills the girls need to know. Because we're watching and we're seeing girls go from division to division and not know certain things that we feel to be a competitive league, they should know. So we'll pass that along as well.
Okay. So it's okay. So, you know, getting back to the breakdown of the curriculum, if you put together a practice plan that, you know, you can't do everything all at once. And our season, what is it? 10 weeks. And in 10 weeks, you can only hit so much, but pick and choose the big things and then add some of the small things, right? And I'm a fan of coaching the details because the details are going to translate and make them just better softball players overall. And then, if we just get lost in the details, though, the girls are going to get bored out of their mind and not want to be there. So you have to, there's a crossroads between, do I just coach all of these fundamentals and the details and not have any fun, and the girls don't like practice, right? You got to keep them engaged too. So I'll mix in some big concept, and then I'll try and do, some breakdown drills, and then something fun, usually to end the practice. A good friend of mine, she played at UCLA for 4 years. Her name is BB Bates, All-American, super legit. She taught me a few years ago, at UCLA, before they would go into games, they would end their practices with competitive drills. And what they would do, like they would turn a trash can upside down on a tee about, 50 yards in front of them. And they would have girls just try and hit a line drive off of another tee into the bucket, and who can do it, stuff like that. To encourage that competition, to get away from just the mundane fundamentals, and it sparks their competitor inside of them. You guys are probably already doing that. And I'm probably not saying anything new, but just to reinforce it, because what Nicole's point was, we have to have the girls on the same page, because they're all going to play, hopefully together for a long time. And if they don't play here and they go into high school and college and beyond, we want to have this structure and this foundation that can build them to be the best softball players. Because like she said, there's kids that get to 14U, and we've seen it in some of these clinics. And who's been coaching these kids, right? They're not doing this. They're not even doing some of the most basic things. Now, there are kids that slip through because they don't care, and they're just here because mom and dad wants them to be out there. But we can't let that be the reason why we're not at least trying to show them the structure. The other thing with practice plans too, I always start every practice with just some basic sayings and some kind of, adding some extra things in there. I tell the kids, the expert in anything was once the beginner, right? The player who you are starts with who you are. The player you want to be tomorrow, it starts with what you do today. And all those little types of messages like that. And then years past, what I also do is I create a theme at the beginning of the practice, at the beginning of the season, and that's our theme throughout. So, one of our themes was you decide. And I played on you decide with every single thing that we did, right? It starts with a decision. Nobody great became great by choice or by chance. They made a choice. They decided to do these things. When you're in the batter's box, you going to let that umpire control a game or control your at bat? Or are you going to decide to swing at a pitch? Or are you going to decide to take it? Empower yourself, because if you're not empowering yourself and you got to let your coach decide, it's going to be too late. When she tells you where to throw that ball, it's too late, right? You decide. So if you take a little theme, and it could be anything. I had another one, extreme ownership, right? Accountability, no excuses. And I'll play that throughout over and over and over. And then at the end of the season, I'll tie it into like my speech at the team party. Hey, we started with, in the beginning, you decide. And I asked these girls, what did it mean to you? And then what does it mean to you now? And looking back, they all have this, they built on it, right? And what it means to them. And those are things that as a young player, I didn't do any of that. And, Coach Randy, who's not here, coaching here anymore, he would do all that stuff. And I would say he puts the icing on coaching sometimes. So work on those things with your team. It gets them to buy in. It gets them all on the same page. And that similar language too, as you're coaching, like it just brings stuff out. So let me go through this actually practice plan a little bit. I break it down in by minute, basically. Add everything in here, a little bit of notes on the details. Some of the coaches that you have might not have played and they might not have seen them before. So what I'll do too is I always try to get to practice a little bit early, or even stay a little bit later and tell them, hey, we're going to do these next time. This is what it looks like. So if they haven't seen it, when we get there, then they're actually going to do it. my pregame warmups, we start at home plate. We have the girls run around first base, second base, third base. And before they do that, I show them, you got to do a banana. You got to bow out to get the angles down. You got to hit the inside corner of the bag. When you get to first base, I'm third base coach on third base over here. I'm holding up numbers in the air and you're calling them out. And I'm not doing that because I want to hear them talk. I'm doing that so when they're in an at bat, they get a habit of picking up third base coach. And if they're not calling out the number, I know they're not looking at me. So in a game, their first instinct is going to be look up, and I'm going to be telling them go to or get back or whatever the case may be. I'm a big fan of all of my little drills and things are based upon some concept in the game, right? Just like that. Like nothing should be done without a good reason behind it. And then they come down, they get to home plate, they'll walk down first baseline, and we start all of our calisthenics, like high kicks and stretching and stuff like that. I have, as I've been going, incorporating some more of like the forehand, backhand movements, staying low, those basic fielding positions in it, because one, you're getting the fielding positioning, but you're also stretching your legs, you're working on them in the squatting positions and things like that. And so then we'll go into actual warming up throwing. And I start every single one, facing forward in cement. We're not moving our feet. We're reaching back and turning our torso. Show them the positioning. Don't move your legs yet. Because if you can isolate your legs, then you have to work on just your trunk, your upper half. and then I'll go sideways in cement. Every single time we do the same thing from the beginning of practices to the end of the season. And by the end, they got all those movements down because it's isolating each movement to get better at it. And then I also have them drop the ball left side, right side as they're warming up, because warm up should be, one, they should be active and you should be learning something, but doing that throughout. So they're knowing how to get around the ball, how to pick it up without their glove, how to shuffle their feet. All those little things and those using the same language over and over again really helps them out. And then I break it down: infield, outfield drills. And this is the end. We do a relay race. We have people, doing crab crawls, duck walks, all these different things, and they laugh and have a good time at the end of it. But some of this stuff, in this practice, I probably didn't get to a few of these things, like banana drills or crow hopping, cone drills. I might cut it out and I'll just take a little note on my paper at the end of practice. I'm like, okay, these things I got to throw into another practice down the road or something like that. Practice plans are also good for keeping these parents engaged, because like it or not, we're getting judged out there, right? And you'll see it. I've seen it in the past. There's been some great players that have come and gone because they've had coaches that aren't doing this. And some of these parents that play too, like I started coaching because my oldest daughter had a coach that I was like, she's just going to be out here wasting her time. And I want her to be good. And I was at one of those parents that was like, if she has this coach again, it's gonna be 2 years of nothing, right? It's gonna be 2 years of her getting beat down by everything they play, her not learning the fundamentals. And so that's why I started wanting to coach. But these parents, they see these things too. They at least know, hey, they're structured, right? And these are things they're trying to accomplish. And then whatever gets in the way at practice, it could be a million things. Hey, you have my practice plan. This is what I'm trying to get to, right? And then they can look back and they'll even ask you questions too. Hey, what's the cone drill? Or what's the bucket drill? What is this? And you show them, and then you'll see they're probably doing it at home with their kids, because a lot of these parents, they never played before. And if they have this and they're doing it, you get more benefits on the field, because the next time they do it at practice, they're that much better, right? I know in the younger divisions too, forcing homework, right? You say, hey, 25 throws, right? 25 throws, 25 catches. If you don't have a brother or sister or whoever, throw it against the wall. Hopefully one outside so you're not breaking the wall, but do it 25 times. Do it in the mirror. You do it in the mirror, you see yourself over and over again. And these practice plans too, we should be able to look back and see that, okay, Coach Enrique does it this way. Coach Jose does it this way. Bernardo does it this way. But it's still the same basic ingredients, right? And that's the uniformity moving forward, where when they get to 12U, we're not focusing on reteaching them. We're focusing on moving up and doing things that we don't have to spend time again on. How do you place your feet and how do you stand and all this type of stuff.
Absolutely.
So these practice plans are huge. I'll share a number of them. We'll send some emails out with them. But I literally do it every practice. And now I get so busy now that I'll go back in time. I'll just pull one of my old ones from years past, because every year I do it the same, the curriculum. I'm hitting, running, fielding, throwing, catching. And I could go to any season and it's going to be pretty much the same, right? So practice plans. And then YouTube. There's some awesome drills on YouTube. I know Nicole bought a program, right, that you were talking about.
I bought a hidden program.
There's some great resources out there. Rely on them. And always, you guys could call me and ask me questions anytime. I'll probably call you guys at some point, because I don't know everything. And I'm the first one to tell you that. Also, always refining your coaching. Nicole's talking about positivity and not yelling and screaming at these kids. I've had coaches that yell and scream, and I have coaches that don't even talk. And the coaches that don't even talk are the ones that hit home for me most, because I was like, this guy must be disappointed in me right now. So you don't have to yell and scream, right? If your coaching style is being, voicing your opinions and having a strong tone, hey, it is what it is. But there's a difference between coaching strong and being an asshole or being a dick. And that's a really fine line. And there's some coaches that I coached with in the past that, I'm like, I don't want my kid being coached by this person. And also it just shows that, their frustration, if your frustration gets the best of you as a coach, hey, maybe you shouldn't really be there, because frustration as a player takes you out of the game. And the message that I teach to the kids is once you become frustrated, everything else is it's out of your hands, right? You can't control yourself. Like you got to keep cool under pressure, and you can get a lot more results. These kids, one, they're already nervous in the batter's box. They're already nervous on the field. They see a ball coming towards them. The last thing they need is some dickhead out there screaming, "What are you doing?" It's not going to help them out, right? Or in the middle of the game, screaming when the ball's in the air. What do? They freak out, right? And so those types of, coaching that way is a disservice for everybody, and it makes you look like a fool out there too. There's a lot of kids in some of these games, and you don't want to look like a damn fool, and you don't want to lose the kids either. Encourage them, and teach by example. but also teach by questioning them about things. One thing that I do with the girls on the field sometimes when I'm doing, situations, I'll say, hey, this is a situation, call them out. Where, if you got the ball right now, where are all your outs at? Because they're thinking about it, and then we do it and they see it, right? Putting them on the spot like that. And if they don't get it right away, kind of ease up and go to somebody else that that does, just to help them out, get the spotlight off of them. But hearing that discussion on the field and seeing it, I mean, it works wonders. So the next time they get the ball, they've already thought it out and done the application, right? And those are just little extra things that I've tried to add over the years. And if you guys see me out there looking like a damn fool, sometimes let me know. Say, Tim, you remember that talk you guys had? You're that guy right now, so knock it off. Hopefully I'm never that guy. But let's encourage competition and let's be tough on them, right?
Yeah.
Easy coaches are coaches without expectations. And we got to have expectations, but it's got to be like at the beginning of the season. Hey, what do you guys want? Do you want to just have a fun season where you guys are all friends and we might win a ball game or two here or there? Most of them don't say, yeah, right. A couple of them might, and then you know where they're at. And the other ones, do you guys want to be the best team out here? And we're going to be the best team out here, but you got to be ready to work too, because work will make you the best team. If you're going to come out here and go half-assed, we're going to be an okay team, right? And get them to start buying in just like that, and then push them, and staying on the same page with the parents too. Winning over the parents or setting the expectations early on will help you out. Years past for me, I wouldn't have the expectations conversation with parents early on. And if you don't have it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the season, you're going to see who they are and they're going to cross boundaries and cross lines, right? And so having that, it's like anything in life. If they don't know what to expect, they're going to think they can do whatever, whatever. And, another thing too, these kids are already stressed out. They're scared on the field. So when they got coaches telling them what to do, they got parents telling them what to do. They got a cousin coming in for a practice or a game to see them, and they're telling them what to do. The parents need to already have had that conversation. Let us coach. Let us do it on the field. Don't tell them to do anything. I've had in all-star games, parents yelling, go on third base, and they freaking run into an easy out. And like, why did you do that? Oh, I heard my mom telling me to go. Your mom we're out of this inning and it's a different ballgame. So setting those expectations, not just on coaching, but, let the kids deal with their own problems too, because they're learning more than just softball, right? These interactions on and off the field, like they got to be able to work through their issues. They should come to coaches if there's something that they can't, but let them start to be a little community where they figure out their positions and their roles and they can problem solve and they can, kind of deal with problems that come up. If they're not doing that, well, they're not learning any life lessons. And I want them to learn life lessons because there's a lot of stuff that comes up, especially as they get older, they start turning 10, 12. Now you got, kids crying because emotional issues with friends at school in the dugout and everybody's emotional. And just set those expectations early on. And, we got the kids only for a short period of time. So they need as few distractions as they can. And everything outside of the dugout on the field is a distraction at some point. I know Demetrius does a good job of telling them, hey, let us have them right now. And parents are a distraction. I don't say it out loud as much, but hey, it's true. It's a great point, right? It is.
In practice, we tell them like at the beginning of the season, when they come over here, you can't, don't talk. I had to take dad out the other day. I actually brought the kids, the dad and the daughter together. I said, listen, dad's off limits the rest of practice. Dad, she's off limits with practice. Go off the field. And now I have them, we used to have them put their bags on the backstop and now put them on the inside of the backstop.
Yeah.
So that I said, bring your water, bring everything. And I'm like, get off the field.
Yeah.
And why? Because you're a distraction. Get off the field. He's just like.
And that's going to work so well for these kids. I mean, because you see them at the end of the season, that kid is now more independent. They know how to deal with things themselves. We're building little young adults at some point, right? And and you learn those lessons in sports: leadership, accountability, standing up for yourself, saying the right thing, all this analysis application stuff. So those expectations are good. If you guys come across any crazy issues, and I can probably think of a million of them, but come to the other coaches, because there's times where I'm like, damn, I don't even know how to handle this, or how would I handle it? And there's old coaches that they don't coach here, they coach me in high school and stuff like that. That I'll call and I'll tell them, hey, this is what's going on. What's your thought on it? And if they haven't been through it, somebody here has, and there will be some quirky stuff that comes up that will be, and share it with us too, because then we'll know how to handle it later in life, right? My oldest is youngest is 7 now, so I'm gonna be coaching, for a while. And there's more issues that come up that I'm gonna be like, hey, Enrique told me about that, or Bernardo came across this 2 years ago, and now I have at least a little bit of experience to deal with it. So
Also, if you have parents who you can't or you don't feel comfortable approaching, just talk to us and the board will approach them. We've had that happen before. We had a parent a couple of years ago and we had to have Kat come out and talk to the dad because it got out of hand. So if you have that issue, you have support, so just let us know.
One last thing for me too. Team building, I encourage you guys to have your team spend time together outside of the field. The best teams that I had, this team right here, the Titans in 2019, we won the city championship here, and this team was one of my tightest teams. And they weren't all the best. We had probably 6 girls that were pretty solid, and the other 6 or 7 were, okay, and everywhere in between. And by the end of this season, not only were they all really tight, like they all got really, really good because they were playing up. The bottom 6 were playing up with the top 6, and they were encouraging them. And we went to a place out in Yorba Linda. It's an outdoor place where you climb up ladders and zip lines and all this stuff. And they have coaches out there that do these team building activities. And just from the point before we did that, when we came back to the field afterwards, they were even tighter. And those types of team building things, and it doesn't have to be something that big, but even going to a pizza joint or having a barbecue on a Sunday, getting them together outside of playing softball, have them play kickball somewhere, or have them, take water balloons and stuff like that. Those types of things make them super tight. And being together as a team, it really works wonders. So last thing that I gotta say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we didn't do a whole lot of that in the regular season, but we definitely saw it during All-Stars. And just in those 6 weeks, the girls got so tight because of, we didn't let them leave the field when it was in between games and those kind of things. So yeah, no, absolutely. But no, I think we've covered a lot. I think that one thing I would like to have happen though, is that at the very least, Tim, if you can teach us your warm up and everybody followed that warm up.
Okay.
So that as girls go from one division to the next, and after that, however you want to run your practice, I think that, we need to have something consistent from division to division to division. So I think we can do that. I'll talk to you offline about doing that coaches click on the field.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it. But yes, but I definitely want, if we can do that at the very least, I need everyone to buy into that. The very beginning of practice, all practices will start the same. After that, however you want to run your practice is up to you. But that way, like I said, we're kind of coming together as a program versus just fragmented, just everybody their own individual team.
And it makes us look sharp too. Like you go to
Whittier,
games, right?
And you see from 6U to 14U, those girls do the exact same thing when they're warming up on the field. You go to a tournament, you go to Charter Oak, you go to these other divisions, other leagues, and you see West Covina, you see them doing the exact same thing. I don't care if there are 6Us, 8Us, 14Us, they're all doing the exact same thing for warm-ups.
Even down to the chants, right? It's branding in a sense, right?
Yeah.
They recognize it and they see it. So, we'll do that. I'll be at the field a couple of days this week. If I see you guys at practice, I'll just come out there. It's pretty basic, but it incorporates all the movements, all the stretching and fundamentals too. And then the girls, they know every time. They know, hey, practice is ready.
Right.
On a talent, they're all at home plate already. They know what they're doing. And it's already dialed. It cuts down on all the wasted time in the beginning of a
And they know if
practice.
they jump into someone else's practice. They know what to do at the beginning of practice.
Right.
It's just what it is. It's just, this is what Dime Bar girls do, and we go from there.
Yeah.
So we need everybody to buy into that. And then afterwards, everyone run your practice, as long as it's efficient. I know I've seen some practices in the past where girls are kind of just standing around, or we've seen practices where it's just such a lag and the girls start to check out. So just be efficient with your time. Like girls usually, a drill more than 10 minutes is usually enough. Like they're ready to move on. I know when you're doing lives, that's the most difficult part because girls are kind of just sitting there. But even try to find a way to, I know when we were doing lives, if a pitcher pitched the ball and they went to the backstop, well, then I was on the side hitting the ball. Keeping them engaged the whole time. Hitting that girl who's standing at the ground. But just a lot of times I've seen practices where girls are just or there's just such a lack of intensity. Girls are walking and moseying on the field and moseying off the field. And I know for us, even when we start with our little ones, tuck your glove and run. Like when your feet hit that dirt, you tuck your glove and you run to where you have to go. And if you don't, drop your glove and go to home plate and start running the bases. Like that's kind of our ammo now. But we've got to have some intensity and I think we need to raise our expectations of these girls so that, I'm a firm believer of they will meet your expectation. So even for our little 6Us, when we were playing 6Us, we didn't dumb down the drills. They did the same drills that our 8U team was doing. Maybe when they weren't as quick and as fast, But the expectation for them was that they could do it. And if you give them the expectation, they'll meet it. If you lower, like we were saying last year, we were saying like an 8U, why are our girls not bunting? Why are girls at 8U not bunting? When you go to tournaments and you see, it's because we never had the expectation that they could. So that is now a bar. 8U girls will not, no girl should leave 8U without knowing how to bunt. And we certainly shouldn't see it at 10, 12, and 14. Girls not knowing how to bunt. Like that's just basic. So we have a ball machine, I think we should, right, it's still at Peterson. I need to get that and take it back to Pantera. Get out there with your girls. And I mean, from day one, you know, we're like, okay, these girls have no idea what to do, but we have to teach them. We have to set different expectations for the girls.
I said this earlier, one more thing. It's the last time that I'm going to say one more thing. Know your audience with every player.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one thing too. Like every player has some way that you can get to them and motivate them. And it might be something super basic, right? But as you start to learn them, realize that. And not everything works for every player. And we don't want to lose those players because there are teams where there's a couple of girls that no one gives them love, right? No one is showing them spending any extra time. And those are the girls that are not going to play again. And those are 2 registrations that the league loses. And at the end of the day, as good as individual teams could be, it's about longevity for the league because, you know, there's this Diamondback softball is going to be around long after we're not here, hopefully. And so we need to keep as many girls here because those girls are going to tell their cousins and their friends and everybody else, right? It's free advertisement for us. So when we're not spending time on the girls that, you know, they might not be the best. They are an opportunity for longevity. And they also can be the best, right? They can turn out to be pretty damn good. My oldest daughter is one of the best in 14U this last summer. And she started her last season at 8U. She knew how to put on a glove. And I tell her, hey, you used to suck, but you don't suck anymore. You suck a whole lot. And she laughs at it, right? Some players you can't tell that to, but that's the thing, you know, if back then coaches didn't spend a little time with her, she would have been one of those girls that was like, Dad, I hate softball, right?
Yeah.
I can't stand softball. So spend times on the diamond in the rough, and you'll find some players that are like, yeah, no one gave you a chance. One of our good pitchers last year in 14U, I saw her back in 10U one season, and she was super clumsy, and you know, people overlooked her. And now she's grown into her body, and she's an awesome player, and people could miss that, right? So spend time on those kids that are maybe quiet and they're not speaking up. And your players that are always talking up and speaking up, tell them, hey, let somebody else have a chance for a second, right? And there you'll bring other people up, but know your audience with individual players.
No, that's a good point. Like I know I've seen where I feel like there are certain coaches who spend time with their all-stars. We can't do that. We've got to, that's what select is for, that's what all-stars is for. And during the regular season, every girl deserves the same attention from the coaches. And we need to make sure we're doing that. Was one more point I was going to make. I should have wrote it down. Lost my train of thought. But no, I think, like I said, just going back to just, I know we may get some, I don't know if we will or not, but just about like trying to come together as a league, we said, as a program and adopting, you know, at least the warm up as the same, you know, if that's not in your mind, you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do that, like just give it a shot. So, you know, there was a quote I saw that says something, what is it? Something about not being a coachable coach. The only thing worse than an uncoachable player is an uncoachable coach. So, you know, listen, buy in. Diamond Bar, we're trying to change the direction of Diamond Bar girls softball. I know in the past, a few years ago, we had a whole chunk of girls leave because we weren't competitive enough. A big chunk of competitive girls, and they were like, it's just not competitive enough. So we need to change that. I don't want to see girls leaving Diamond Bar girls softball. It's not competitive. I want girls coming here. There was a girl when we were doing the clinic from Diamond Bar, and she's a 6U player, I believe. She's really young, and her dad signed her up for Laverne because they don't feel Diamond Bar's competitive enough. So we've got to change that thought process throughout, and the goal is to, like I said, have girls coming here, not leaving.
Yeah, great points. Coach, anybody have any questions on the Zoom call? Or anybody?
Comments?
Yeah, questions or comments?
Nope, good stuff.
Okay. Everybody buying in?
I want to say one quick thing. I agree with everything you all have said. I like the direction of the uniformity. for starting practices to be able to get that cohesiveness from, 6 all the way up to 14 throughout their lifespan of being with Diamond Bar Girls Softball. I also want to just reiterate that, Tim, you made a very good point. Know your audience, and that's not only the kids that you're coaching, but the parents as well. There are some very sensitive parents. There are parents who know more than you in their mind about this game, but they've never put a glove on. And so we have to be mindful of those parents as well, that's attached to that child. One of the things that I really want to, so when we did this last season, 8U, and I think I've shared it with Tim and some of the other coaches who were part of the 8U know, there was one of the umpires, the head umpire for USA Girls Softball came over to Nicole and I, and he said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." He says, "What you all are doing in Diamond Bar makes you stand out, and it shouldn't." And that was a wake-up call for us. It was kind of like, what he was saying was the way that we were coaching and how we did things, the way we engaged with the players, the support, the encouragement, the motivation, all of those things, he said it made us stand out. But he said the sad part about it is that we shouldn't, because he's saying that that's what all of girls softball should be. As Tim, I got into this for only one reason, because I didn't want to have, and I'm going to be very frank and very open, I didn't want to have to whoop a coach's ass. I just keep it real with you. I didn't want to have to beat some coach down for standing over my 6-year-old kid and pointing his finger at her and yelling at her and degrading her for a mistake that she just made, because that is what I witnessed when I was sitting in the stands. Nicole was coaching, I wasn't. Nola and I were sitting in the stands, and this guy let this little kid have it. And I would have been that father getting kicked out of that off that field, because I would have whipped that coach's ass. And my attitude was, the only way you can't complain about the problem if you're not going to be a part of the solution. And so I had to become a part of the solution in order to change things. And when I look at these girls, they want to give their best. We have to identify who we are as coaches and what we bring to the table. If you see me out there, if we're doing something and you have a better way to do it, I am coachable. Come to me. I don't care what division you're coaching in. I don't care who you are. If you're a parent, save it for after practice. Tell me what it is. I'm willing to do it. We all need to be coachable, as coaches, as Nicole said. And so when we put the league as a greater focus, it doesn't become about the individual anymore. So I want to be able to be the best coach that I can be for these kids, but more importantly, I want to leave them better than I found them. And so, I think if we all get into that mindset and have a greater understanding about what it is that we really want as a league, and then we buy into that culture, I think we're going to be great. So I commend you all for taking the time to put this together. And I just think we have to remove our egos from it. We have to move our personal desires from it. We have to be greater than the moment. As I tell the kids, be greater than the moment. Demand your greatness show up. And as a coach, I want to know what you know and share the information with me so that I can give it to these kids. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about softball, it's about life. And so I think we have to really look at it from that perspective as well. So thank you for the moment.
Great point.
You should be a motivational speaker or something.
Let's have them later.
Anybody else comments or questions?
Look at that.
Going once.
Anybody else? Any comments? Ashley, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. It was a really informative meeting.
Okay.
Wait, one last thing. I apologize.
Oh.
Tim, you made another good point earlier. You said the coaches who are quiet, right? If you're on the field, your voice matters as a coach. So you may see something and you may hold it in, you're doing not only the girls, but you're doing the coaching staff an injustice when you don't speak about what it is that you see. So we all have to be vocal so that we teach the kids to communicate, because that's the most important tool they're going to have on the field, is the ability to communicate with one another. So if, as I always say, attitude reflects leadership. If we as the coaches are not communicating, we're teaching them they don't have to communicate. So we have to use our voices, and everyone has to be heard on the field. So let's just make sure that we're vocal with one another, but also be vocal with the kids as well. So no silent coaches.
Let me just add to that. So I didn't mean that they were silent in the sense that they didn't speak up. And just to clarify it a little bit, the coaches that were that way coached me like this. I make a mistake on the field, I know what I did and why I made that mistake, right? And so it went like this. They'd come to me after I came off the field and they would say, hey, this happened, let's talk about it. Your perspective, what would you do? How'd you fix it, right? And those ones, me thinking it through, that application and sulking in it, made me learn better, as opposed to screaming in the middle of the game when the next play is going on. And not even screaming in the game. You got to talk. I talk on the field, but it's more is caught than taught, right? And so if I'm screaming at them and there's a next play coming, they're confused. So I use that opportunity to let them kind of work themselves through it. But yeah, we absolutely do need to communicate. It's a vocal game. And starting with 6U, 8U, we got to do a better job of having our girls talk. So when they get to 10U, 12U, 14U, they're not afraid to speak up.
Yes. Yeah, I love that also. Thanks for that explanation, because I love that too. In the last part you just said, when the girls are getting to 12 and 14U, when we did the clinic, the assessments, there were so many girls at the higher level who were afraid to speak. You know,
I'm having that problem with my team now.
Yeah.
I can't, they don't, it's almost like they don't have the confidence to speak, or if I'm asking them, where's the play, if you have this and this there, they almost don't feel confident enough to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna do a mindset training. So I took a mindset training on how specifically for female athletes. So I would like to do that. Maybe we do a pizza night and we can do that with the girls, and hopefully that'll draw them out. But we notice that as well. And so even with our 8Us now, like we're like, talk. And if they don't talk, like we are drilling it into them now, because we notice that as well. So like at our practice the other day, it was like, be loud.
Mhm.
Even with the 6Us, I mean, I've only been with them a couple of times, but even with them, I'm like, talk, you know, I mean, you don't have to stop them from talking. It's almost like it goes the opposite. They talk so much and then they just, so, but maybe, you know, maybe it is a confidence thing. But I know, like I was telling Demetrius, when we were seeing our 8Us this over the past, this past postseason, and saw them all kind of gel and come together in this thought. And I said, but keep in mind, we've had this core group of girls since they were 6 years. So we've been pumping them with this. You can do anything, like all this thing that we do. We've been pumping that with them for like the last 2 years, and it kind of just all culminated. So if we can make that a league-wide thing, like I'm sure we all are positive with the girls. We just need to have it be something that's consistent from team to team to team. So I really do want to put together a mindset training. The training I did, and actually do it with the girls. It talks about, you know, just how your mindset is just as important as the fundamentals you're learning. It even teaches them to almost like create this like avatar in a sense of who you're going to become when you're on the field, and you name the person and what characteristics do they have and those kind of things. So we'll have to figure out a date, time, probably a Sunday, maybe a Sunday, like early evening.
You know,
late afternoon.
what I want to see is have all the girls feel that Diamond Bar softball is their safe space. They can literally be anything they want to be when they step onto the field. They want to be the best pitcher, the best catcher, the best hitter, the best anything, because that's, like you're saying, that's the mentality that starts from 6U, 8U, 10U, 12U, because it's true. As the girls get older, they get bombarded with all these self-confidence issues outside of the field. This is where they come to be powerful and strong and capable. And
Hey, who's that talking?
Jose Jasso.
I know I love that dude.
But it's kind of like, I was telling Nola about this. Nola watched the training with me, and then we were talking about it, and I said, it's like Beyonce. She goes on tour or goes on stage, and she becomes Sasha Fierce. And she's like, who's that? So I'm explaining to her how she becomes this other person who just has all this confidence in that. So Nola and I have talked about it some, and it would just be something, it was a really good training, and I definitely want to implement it. But yes, the talking, it's almost like they seize up.
Yeah.
And I always tell the girls, if I don't hear you, it's only because you don't want to speak. Like, let's go. Like, you've got to talk. You got to talk. So we've noticed it. So I just want, we are definitely working on it from the little ones now. Hopefully it'll carry all the way through.
There's a cool little echo drill that I've seen. There's a coach, they have everybody in positions, catcher to outfield. There's a coach at home plate and a coach in center field. They spread them out. Coach in center field will pass a message out, some are outs, plays here or there. From center field, has to make it all the way to home to the players. Pass it back from catcher, pitcher, all the way out. So you go back and forth with the different messages to getting them speaking up. Especially at Peterson, you can't hear, so you got to be super loud. But that little echo drill gets them talking back and forth.
I like that. I tell the girls, I know you're loud at home. I know your parents tell you to be quiet all the time. So you should be able to be loud in the field.
And you know what? I think what I saw with one of our kids, I'm gonna just call her out. Sophia O. She was so quiet. She was so timid. She wouldn't speak. She wouldn't talk. And there was like a major breakthrough during our All-Star season where we just said, hey, let's just hear your voice. Let's just hear you yell. And she came out of the shell, but what it also did, it gave her confidence in other areas, and I think with these older girls, I don't know that it's necessarily a confidence thing or it's a shy thing or it's I don't want to be embarrassed. You know what I mean? And it could be all of it. I don't know.
Do they feel like they're not the star player until they
So
let me
try. I've been on the side for a while now. I only started coaching lately because what happened was before COVID, all the girls that were the shy ones were the shy ones on the team, but they had the loud ones, their teammates. They had the ones that were the loud ones, and they were allowed to basically stay the quiet ones, right? So those girls lost. Let's see, I'm just gonna cough on my head. No, I'm talking to you, like Emma.
No, but she actually is the 14.
Yeah. No, I'm saying so.
But you're saying the loud ones overshadowed the quiet ones, and the loud ones have left.
They do.
Yeah, so
They do. They're kind of like the
right.
spokesman of the team.
All the girls, imagine like all the 8U, 6Us have grown up together, right? And then they left, right? So then what you're left with were the quiet ones. So then what we try to do is get them to bond, and they started bonding towards the end of the season. Last week of All Stars, we're starting to see it, but it took a long time, and we're still not there. And I agree with you guys. I 100% everything you're saying. I actually created a whole PowerPoint on trying to change the mindset of the team because
No, I said I love that. Will you share that with everybody?
I was going to run it through these guys first and see what, because a lot of what it is leadership stuff, and I don't want it to go over the 12 years.
I said, no, don't worry about them. You can just share it.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't want it to be too much for a 12-year-old, right? I kind of want to run it through to coaches first and see is okay, if some of this is meant, I'm taking what I've learned in leadership skills at work and trying to apply it to a mindset of an athlete and a child, right? So I'm dumbing it down a little bit, but what basically the concept of it is it's called the results pyramid. And what it is your experiences reinforce your beliefs drives your actions, and your actions ultimately produce results. So you start by asking the team, what results you want to get? Okay, if they start saying, okay, I want a championship, I want to win this, that means you got to change and get it into new results. So in order to do that, you got to get new experiences. To get new experiences, you got to get new beliefs. Get new beliefs, you got to get new actions. And then there's a part where there's culture, right? We're talking about the culture of the team. So what you do is basically ask the team to basically say, okay, now that you know what the culture needs to be, how do we get there? And have them come up with 6 things that they got to change in the field. But it's not me telling them, it's a team telling them. So it's more likely that they will buy into it because they're as a team coming together. Yeah. So then once they do that, then that becomes the echo of the mission of the team, and they enforce that in practice. So that's the kind of because me telling them be loud didn't work. Me telling them you got to do it didn't work. So I need their mindset to change
Mhm.
for them telling each other, holding each other accountable, then it will work.
Yeah. Can I say one thing about that? I think that's brilliant. I think it's great, and I think we can do it. I don't think you need to dumb it down though. And the reason that I say that, it was like what Nicole said earlier. We didn't teach bunting early on in AU because we didn't have the expectation that they could do it. But the moment we started to teach them bunting, they got it, right? One thing that Nicole and I have always said, teaching our kids to do something is like teaching them the color blue, right? They don't know what it is until we teach it to them. They don't know what ABCs are until we teach it to them. And I think I understand what you say when you say dumb it down, because it comes from a corporate structure and you want to put it into a space where they can digest it. But if we teach it, they'll get it. And I think the value is in everything that you just said. I don't think that's too much for even a 6U, right? It's just the words that we use. And I think that's brilliant. I think we should definitely, Tim, Nicole, I think it's something that we should definitely, look to incorporate.
I'll share it.
Okay. And we can maybe even tie it into the training, that training. Because some of it was about like, here's a scenario, coach didn't put me in. And then it's like, you tell yourself, coach didn't put me in because they didn't like me, blah, 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 blah. Or coach didn't put me in because so-and-so hasn't played, and so he's gonna give them a chance. That's a story you tell yourself. So then your actions after that will be determined based on what you thought in your belief. But it's definitely the team buying in, like what are the girls saying? And what suggestions do they give? I mean, that's always, they're gonna buy in more if they do it. And then I would even go a step further as to when they do give their suggestions. I mean, spend $15 at Kinko's or at Staples and get it printed up and bring it to your practices. These were the expectations you all set for yourselves. Are you meeting them? You know what I mean? We could even go that far as to here are our expectations. This is what you all came up with. Are you meeting these expectations? And let them see it. I mean, the visual of it over and over and over.
And then the buy-in back to it would be that once you get them going, then you get a reinforcement program going, where like you basically either give them like a card, like, hey, that's the behavior I want to see. Thank you, right? Or even a sticker that you put on the back of the thing. So basically you get like, you're reinforcing the behavior. And then once the coaches start doing it, ideally you see the athletes start doing it themselves.
We have a friend who's a professional baseball player. Now he has a whole program, and he wants to actually come out and do a coaches clinic for us and a players clinic for us.
Oh, nice.
But he said he does, it's like he'll have those certain expectations, and if the kids do it, he has a bucket and they get a ticket in the bucket. And then there's like a drawing or something for like a gift card, or there's this. So that as they're doing more of these things on the field, when you see someone call someone else out for, or if you see someone speaking or calling out, he does drawings for them. So I'm like, that's a quick, but yeah, some kind of reward, some kind of tangible reward. If you said a sticker on there, whatever it is, some kind of tangible, hey, today you spoke about practice, here you go. Like even little things like that for a girl, the confidence that it gives them. I mean, the stuff that like our kids keep that I would think means absolutely nothing, but it's a little piece of paper from their teacher that said, you did well today. Even little things like, I used to write notes for our girls for every lunch. Like literally I'd give them, and even little, I'd find them. I'm like, it's a littlest thing, like I'm proud of myself today. I'm like, oh my God, they kept that. But like we don't even realize how valuable just something like that coming from your coach. I don't think we realize, like I know for me how important I think these girls are. I don't think we realize how important we are to them. I think that gets lost. I think we don't realize, like when I go to the field now and girls are like, hey coach, I call it. I'm like, oh my God, like these girls really, I think that gets lost. I say it with my kids all the time. I know how much they mean to me. I forget how much in the day-to-day, how much I mean to them. And I think as coaches, we forget how much they value us. And so the smallest little thing of positivity that we can give them, or the more we can give them, it goes so far. And I think we have to remember that and take that.
Just to add something to what Nicole and Bernard are talking about with this whole culture thing. There was a coach, he's one of the guys that does all the small things. Beginning of the season, he had girls come up with 3 goals and then 3 action plans for each one of those goals. and he laminated it. And he also asked them, what's your favorite college player? He laminated it with a picture of their favorite college player. And he had their 3 goals at the top, and on the back were their 3 action plans. And he kept them on a binder. He'd bring them to every game. And if they had a bad game or they weren't going all out, afterwards, he'd talk to them, hey, this is your card right here, right? Are you being accountable to yourself? These were your goals. This was your plan. And that would motivate these kids so much. I mean, it was awesome. And you'd see it every time. And that the kid could be just down on herself. And she'd read that and be like, you know what? Those are my goals. That was my plan. And I'm going to get back to it. And it was so powerful. And it moves them.
Yeah.
I don't know, my kids know who a favorite player is. I don't know if my kids know who a favorite
Or even your
player
favorite athlete or your
right?
favorite, anybody that they look up to. Because I think, subconsciously maybe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The older girls might, well, no, I know my girls, like, they walk in the room, they're like, softball again. You're watching softball again. I'm like, it's always on. But yeah, also too, if you all come across like drills that will be helpful, like I found a really good drill on girls who drop their elbow. And you put a T, like at their chest height with a ball on top, and you make them throw over it and they can't knock the ball off. It was so, I sent it to Demetrius, I'm like, you've got to do this with Juliet because that girl is gonna like break her, she's gonna hurt her elbow eventually. It was such a good drill, but if you come across drills, let's share them with one another. It was really good. And there was another one I found, I think I was telling Jose about it, where you have the girls, especially new girls, start with a U, and you have them go L, U, L, and throw from the L. Like, because when you feel, that's the position you come to, is always. So I have them literally just start there. Our AUs start there. Like everyone starts there because I don't want them even in the habit of throwing from down here. But for someone who's like established, like Juliet, who's already throwing, the T thing, I was like, this is brilliant. It's brilliant. Because I know also too, you see a lot of girls pushing the ball, even in 12U. They throw hard, but they're pushing it. And eventually they're gonna hurt their shoulder or their elbow.
Right.
It's gonna be inevitable. So they've got to learn to throw from up here. But yeah, if we can all just share what we find, and if we find it useful, everybody can use it. If not, but if you have girls on your team, like I said, I sent it to Demetrius last night, probably two of them. I'm like, hey, you got to use this.
If it's really good, show it to me first and I'll decide whether I show everybody else.
But yeah, so anything else? How's everybody feeling practices going? I know it's crowded out there. So how's that going?
Good, it's good.
Everybody see my message yesterday?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, field time is what it is. Like I said, when we went to Biddy's pitching practice, she was like, you all practice twice a week? Chino has practice once a week, and Chino practice once a week because they can't. And I'm like, no. So, I mean, this is what we have. So like I said, I know Demetrius and Lenny have combined the 10U so that they're on the dirt twice a week. I know eventually they'll probably split both, but if that's the best we can do right now. This is what we have. I mean, it's limited field time, but I know, yeah, I mean, and I've noticed in the outfield, it's not as crowded as I thought it was gonna be. Yeah, as long as everyone goes far enough back that you're not impeding if someone wants to do hitting practice, if they want to hit. Like if you're in the outfield and there's 14U on the infield, go. I mean, I know I had the 6Us like way back, just so that you don't get in the way of anyone else's practice. But it's not as crowded as I thought it was. So it seems like even if we have 3 teams in the outfield, everyone has enough space to be able to run an effective practice. So not even know if she'll be using the whole outfield. It says infield on the allocation, but we're just gonna take the whole field. So until they say something, but yeah, the biggest thing too, like I said, is just making sure. I know it's tempting to look over at field 2 and say, no one's on that dirt. Let me go over there and just, even if you're doing we can't at all. We can get our allocation pulled. So just make sure you're not on the dirt. If a dad goes over there with his kid, that's one thing, but as a Diamond Bar girls softball representative, you cannot take your girls onto the field that we're not allocated on. If it even appears like it's a practice, we can get our allocation pulled. So let's not even attempt it. And one thing I am trying to do though, I'm gonna work with Jessica on, is actually getting us on field 2 versus field 1. So we're near the cages. I don't know why they keep putting Diamond softball away from the cages. It makes no sense to me. And I asked Sam to make sure that we are near the cages, and then we got our field allocation. So I will see about that, if we can move to field 2, so that if you want to use the cages, the outlets are over there, you have access to that with the machine. There's no lights in the cages, so that's the only thing. But you can buy a huge spotlight or something, I don't know.
There's some lighting actually.
In
We
the
practice
cages?
cage, yeah, there's some lighting.
So it would be nice to have the
Yeah.
cages so you can have girls hitting and fielding, and it doesn't make, we can't do it with it way over.
Right.
So I will work on that with Jessica this coming week. Okay? But that's about it. Everybody good? All right.
We'll get back to your Labor Day weekends then.
Yeah.